Hi everybody, my name is Brent Sales. I'm the COO and Managing Partner here at Applewood. I want to talk a little bit today about financing or leasing, paying cash, because there's so many different ways that you can buy your car, and there's so many times I'm asked these questions. So let's get into it. Let's figure out what's best for you. It really depends on the customer and the person in terms of cost efficiency. If you're considering leasing or financing a brand new car, let's talk about brand new cars. I like to take it away from cars. So let's talk about a house. If I told you you could buy a house for $1 million and in 4 years that house would be worth $1.4 million, you should probably buy it. It's an appreciating asset. If I told you that same house that you bought for $1 million is worth $600,000 in 4 years, probably the best scenario for you would be to lease it because you're losing a lot of money. Now, the wealthiest people in the world are going to tell you should always lease what depreciates and buy what appreciates. So the difference between amount due at signing and down payment is really used to lower your monthly payments. Due at signing is what you have to pay to drive away. So if you put $2,500 down, your due at signing might be more like $3,200. So really just understand what you're putting down. If you want to say to the sales representative, I have $2,500 drive away money. And that means that's your money down, your first payment, and the taxes on the money down. In terms of ending your lease, you can end your lease at any time, just like you can end your finance at any time. At any time in a lease contract or a finance contract, there's a buyout of the vehicle. So what would happen if you want to get out of your lease or finance early, you come into the dealership appraises the vehicle, and if you owe more than it's worth, that money can be added onto a new loan or you could pay it out. And it's the same thing with leasing. At the end of the lease term, there's a buyout. You're going to come into the dealership and we're going to do a lease analysis for you. So if the buyout's $10,000 and the vehicle's trade-in value would be $12,000, you get to keep that equity. Now, if the market is turned, or let's say you've had an accident on the car and the car's only worth $6,000, you're not liable for the $4,000, so you can return it. You could trade it, you could return it, you could buy it out. You could buy it out for the $10,000 plus taxes, and maybe your neighbor wants to buy it from you, or it's like buying your own used car that you know the history, you've done the servicing, and you love the vehicle. That's a question we get asked a lot of times, and a lot of customers are hesitant to lease because they drive a lot of kilometers, when in fact they should probably be going into a short-term, high-kilometer lease. It will save them money in the long run. The monthly payment might be higher, but overall the car will cost them less. And what I mean by that is if you drive a lot of kilometers, we're talking 30, 40,000 kilometers a year, and you go ahead and do an 84-month finance on the car, in 84 months, that car has, 200,000-300,000 kilometers. It's really not worth very much at all. Versus the lease, if you did a short 3-year term, 90K, you're paying a little bit higher monthly payment, but it's not going to hurt you in the end. So it's probably a better thing if you drive a lot to lease your vehicles. Yeah, when you move to another province, you're going to bring the car to whatever province you go to, and you'll be subject to the sales tax that's in that province. So there's no problem moving within Canada. If you are leasing a vehicle, you cannot bring it and move it down into the US without buying it out first. I've asked a few mortgage brokers this, and a lot of times they would say a lease because your liability is the payment only and you're not liable for the entire loan amount. Let's say you bought a $40,000 car, you have taxes on top of that, so you're just over $44,000. Whereas in the lease, they look at it as you're into that car for $300 a month. Right? It's better in terms of credit reporting. So the residual is the amount owing at the end of the lease if you choose to buy out the car. Now that's one of the biggest benefits of leasing is you're leasing a $30,000 car, the residual is $10,000, you're only financing or paying for $20,000. At the end of the lease, the residual is $10,000, and if you choose to buy it out, you pay $10,000 plus taxes. If you choose to trade it in, you know that the buyout value is $10,000. If it's worth more than $10,000, you get the equity. If it's worth less than $10,000, you're not hurt by the depreciation on the vehicle. The option to buy the car at the end of lease is the residual. So you don't have to pay any more than the residual plus taxes. That's it, right? You don't have to pay if the market value is 15 grand and the residual is 10. You could buy it for 10 plus taxes and then go sell it for 15 if you like, and you get to keep that profit. You know, the accountants will tell you, my accountant tells me it's easier to write off a lease payment and a percentage of the lease payment, right? You don't want to get sticky here and get crazy with trying to write down off everything, but if your lease payment is $500 and if you use that car 50% of the time for business, you can write off 50% of 500. When you finance, you're writing down depreciation. A lot of times your accountant's going to write off more depreciation in the first few years, but it's stickier and there's more calculation to do with that. Thanks so much for listening to me in regards to leasing and financing and what's going to be best for you. If you have more questions, come see my amazing team down at Applewood. Again, my name is Brent Sales, COO and Managing Partner. We like to welcome you to our dealerships, and you can find out why it's all good at Applewood.